All righty. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this brand new episode of Brownsville Tech Live. And in the house tonight, we've got Mr. Doug Blunt. Doug, welcome back.
Hey, glad to be back, Dan. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Doug. We've been trying to struggle here with Studio B, but hopefully
Studio
it
B.
behaves today.
We better hurry up then before the
Yes,
gremlins get it.
so I know. Tell me about it. Murphy is always lurking in the background.
That's funny.
So, what happened today, Doug? What was the big
Well,
event today?
uh, about this time every year, they have what they call WWDC, and that's where
Right?
Apple gets all the developers together, and they for the next 4 days um, they talk and they introduce the new software that's being launched this fall. Okay,
Okay.
and now, of course, Apple's got a complete new universe of software, all the way from not, back in the old days, it was only iOS and Mac. And now they've got, Vision and Watch and Apple TV and everything else. So, um, start out with Tim Apple. Well, actually,
Right?
I highly recommend the trailer going into the episode, into the show. It's pretty funny. It's about a minute or two long, and it shows all the engineers at Apple that jumping out of an airplane. The program managers and stuff. About a half a dozen of
Wow.
them, and then yeah, and one of the marketing. There's an old marketing guy named Phil Schuler, and he's flying the plane. He says, "I'm getting too old for this stuff," and he's using a original iPod with the little wheel.
Mm-hmm.
He's dialing that in to fly the airplane. Okay, so it's pretty funny, And this,
An original iPod with a wheel.
those with the old first generation iPods, right? Yeah,
Yep, I had
and
one.
yeah, and then the guy with the hair, the engineering manager, he puts his helmet on and it's shaped over his head like with hair, it's a hair helmet. Yeah, he's pretty
Wow.
funny. So, but
I didn't
anyway,
realize Schuller
Tim
was
Apple,
still there.
yeah, he's kind of like marketing emeritus, I
Uh-huh.
think he just comes in and he collects his paycheck, you know, uh, every once in a while. They probably use him for consulting work and stuff. Yeah,
Must be
yeah,
nice to be able to collect a paycheck.
it is. I mean, he likes to spend more time with his money. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, Tim Apple kicked it off, and of course, so it wasn't they didn't use the Steve Jobs Theater. It was a recorded session. Yeah.
Ah,
Okay.
you're kidding.
No, I don't think they'll ever go back to. Most of the experts think they'll never go back to the live presentation. Now it's like Steve Jobs Theater because they can
Yeah.
do so much more. You know,
Right.
and of course, so the whole thing was said on there was filmed by an app, filmed by an iPhone, edited by a Mac. Okay,
Okay.
so
Using Final Cut Pro,
Final Cut Pro,
right?
using Final Cut Pro and Logic and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So
So
the event.
is the conference just software or do they release hardware?
No, they didn't release hardware. I don't know. They didn't release any hardware. They did the iPads last month, and that was about it.
Right.
Okay. So this is all software, and they
Okay.
pretty much got it. The event wasn't the keynote was an hour and 45 minutes because I timed it, and it was they went fast. They just kind of
Wow.
gave the highlights. They didn't really give into the nuts and bolts of it. Um, usually these events, they usually have some game developer come out and they'll show, 5 minutes how the game works on the newest software or something. They didn't do that. They did have a game developer out there that the president of Assassin's Creed, but he just kind of introduced it and said we're using, Mac and iPad software and all that. And he showed some
Hmm.
scenes, and that was about it. But
Wow.
yeah, so it went fairly well. I mean, it was quick. Um, Apple was always against, ever since last year, when Chat GPT came out and, Microsoft and Google they did their little thing with artificial intelligence. Everybody thought that Apple was behind because, Siri's been out 13 years or more. I think it's 13 years, they said. And let's face it, Siri's not, you know, she, she needs a boob job. Siri does, I mean, she's not up to expectations, okay?
Right.
Yeah, I think we all shared that with Siri. But
Yeah.
I don't know, we can get into it and we can start talking about some of the stuff they've come up with. And but it
All
just
right.
kind of
Well,
hit the highlights.
let's go ahead and flip over to the other screen. Give me a second. All right, we've got our virtual iPad. Get the screen up and running here. And of course, we can't watch the keynote.
Right,
Otherwise,
you're
the
gonna get
YouTube police will be on our
yeah,
case.
YouTube. You get a takedown. Yeah.
But there's definitely a lot of information with regards to what they termed Apple Intelligence. And it says the next big step for Apple is here. Apple Intelligence is personal intelligence built into your iPhone, your iPad, your iMac that'll help you write, express yourself, and get things done. So, talk to us a little bit about Apple Intelligence.
Apple Intelligence, they're saying that later this fall, I don't think it's going to launch. I don't think it's going to launch in late September when the iPhones come out. I think it's going to be maybe later this year or maybe early next year. And that'll be in beta. So basically how it works, what I got out of it is that, for example, let's say um, you got an email from your wife saying
Right.
to next Thursday to stop and pick up a loaf of bread or something. Well, instead of searching through all your emails and all your text messages, well, then you can just ask the phone. You can just ask Siri and it'll tell you what she said. It'll bring up the message. So all this
This
stuff
was
about,
from a message
searching
she sent the week before.
the week before or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
We've all been through that case where you've got information and you go, I know I got it, but I got to search through these emails in order to find it or these text messages.
Right.
Well, that is supposed to take care of it. Also, too, another example they used was, let's say, for example, you're at work and you have a meeting later in the day, and the meeting gets scheduled for later. However, though, you've got to go see your daughter in a dance recital, and it's going to tell you, allegedly, it's going to tell you if you could make that dance recital, what time your meeting is going to be over with, you can make that dance recital and how bad the traffic can be.
Okay.
Okay. So things like that. I mean, that's just a good example. And like I said, they didn't really get in, they just kind of gave a couple of examples and that was it. They didn't give into the machine learning and all that kind of crazy stuff that people really don't care about. They just kind of got into how it works. I mean, you give it a couple of examples when you need it.
Right. Well, I'm
Okay.
trying to get through this. They kind of
And
spent.
then, and then also too,
There
what they Apple decided, I don't know, see, we can talk about Chat GPT. Right now you have to pay for, you pay like $20 a month for Chat GPT 4.0, right? Okay, well,
Well, I thought that
I
was
think they're
free.
going to,
I thought 5.0 was
not
the one you
the,
paid.
well, it's 5.0, whatever the latest GPT is, Chat GPT, well, you don't have to pay. Okay, and
Okay.
I guess Apple's made a deal with OpenAI in order to do that, because it was kind
Well,
of
you know
silly
who
for
owns OpenAI, right?
uh who's that?
Microsoft.
Oh, Microsoft, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess Apple decided that, why should we go out and invent the same thing and everything, so we could just partner up with them. Okay.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, otherwise you're going to be struggling like Elon Musk and trying to develop your own thing, for
Yeah.
X and Twitter.
Yeah, so like a good example is that, everybody's asked Siri, Siri, um, I don't want to say Siri because everything go off my office, but hey, doofus, how is Denzel Washington? You know, and then Siri comes back, uh, the results are on the web. Well, you didn't ask her that. You want that conversation. So the new
Right.
Siri with this Apple Intelligence and ChatGPT is supposed to be more interactive.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think we're ever. I don't think we're at the point where Joaquin Phoenix is gonna get on there and talk to what was her name? What's his name's wife? Movie star, in the movie Her.
I don't
Where
remember.
Joaquin Phoenix. Oh, do you ever see that movie? There's a movie
No, I
about 5 years
didn't.
ago. Oh, okay. There's a movie about 5 years ago. Joaquin Phoenix is a lonely guy, and he starts talking to um, a voice, his computer, and he
Yeah.
kind of falls in love with her, and then she actually dumps him, and it goes on from there.
Somebody took a three wheelie.
Yeah, and it's sort of like that, and Joaquin Phoenix, he usually plays really weird roles anyway, right? He was
Yeah.
the emperor
Of
in
course.
Gladiator. Yeah,
Right.
and
And did you watch him in Napoleon?
yeah, I saw him in Napoleon. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to think of the guys. Not Chastain, not Jessica Chastain, but who's the chick that's an Avenger with the black hair
I don't
that's married
remember.
to the guy that's married to
I've
the
s-
guy on SNL.
I've
The
seen the Avenger movies, but if you ask me to remember everybody, I
yeah,
couldn't tell you.
yeah, I forget what her name is. And matter of fact, ChatGPT tried to use her voice. They said, she didn't want him to use it, so she says, "No, I'm not going to use it."
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Oh, what was her name? She was griping about it a month ago.
Yeah, she's
Scarlett
married to the guy
Johansson?
on. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson. That's it. She's married to
Scarlett Johansson.
The guy on, yeah, SNL News Update, the white guy on that, Colin. What's his name? Colin Firth or something like that. Colin. Anyway,
Colin Farrell?
yeah.
No.
No, Colin Farrell's a Irish guy. Colin Firth is a British guy. I don't know, it'll come to me, So anyway, yeah. So they stopped that. So anyway, so yeah, it's the Apple Intelligence or something like that. I think it's going to be in beta for a long time. So
So
I
they're
don't
going to
think you're gonna.
incorporate Chat GPT into iOS, Mac
I
OS,
think I think it's going to
and
be
iPad
they're
OS.
they're going to offer. I think they're going to offer it on iOS, but I don't think they have an API for it. I don't think it's going to be, in other words, if you want to know s- something that enhanced Siri can't tell you, then what happens is that you have to go to ChatGPT. And allegedly, you can talk to ChatGPT on this. It's all vocal.
Uh-huh.
Unless
So
they've changed it. I don't.
it'll be like when you go to Google and you go to want to do a search, instead of
Yeah,
typing something in, you can visually talk to it.
yeah. I'm pretty sure. Okay, but I'm not absolutely positive because they didn't say anything like that. Now, in a couple weeks, well, I guess the betas will be out. The first version of betas will probably be out this week. Then we'll find out if it's bundled together. But I don't think it's together. I don't think it's all into this in iOS 18 separate. It's an
Okay.
app. Okay, I may
Well,
be
speaking
wrong,
of
but
iOS 18, what's new there?
not really. I mean, there was some. They just kind of crossed over some stuff. You got the usual stuff about you can make your own emojis and you can change the color of your screen and the displays and all that kind of stuff. And in the widgets, things like that, but nothing really spectacular. Okay.
Okay.
They're just basing it mostly on the AI part of it with Siri enhancements. Okay.
All right.
You know,
Yeah, I
you know,
mean,
they
there
didn't.
was, they talked a little bit about that emoji creation,
Yeah,
you know.
most people don't really care about that. Some kids do probably, but you know,
You mean you
but
haven't created your own emoji for yourself?
no, no, I haven't. No, I haven't. It's not on my it's not on my list to do.
Well, those young kids, they definitely like emojis,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I know my
But
daughter, she made me get her an iPhone. At the time it was a 14, because supposedly it had better emojis than her 13,
mhm.
you know.
They did some changes on the photo library to make it a little bit more user friendly. For
Okay.
example, if I want to find a picture of you, okay, I can just say, you know, show me pictures of Daniel Salinas, okay, and all the pictures will show up, or whatever. Show me a
Wow.
picture of a riding bike, something like that. Yeah,
Wow. So eventually you'll be able to tell Siri, give me all the pics or videos that regarding Doug and e-bikes.
there you go, right there. That you,
And if you
but
really
instead
want
of
to get
me,
specific, get me the video where Doug falls off the e-bike.
well, there's one on YouTube now, so you know, there's one on
I
YouTube
know.
now, so yeah. Have you seen it?
I've seen it, Doug.
You've seen it,
That was
yeah,
horrible.
yeah.
How could have that happened to you?
I hit a tree one day. Watch out. George of the Jungle. Watch out for that tree. Okay,
Right?
because I was talking to a friend of mine and I wasn't paying attention. I was leaving and there was a palm tree right in front of me and I stopped. But when I stopped real quick and fell over. No home never.
Wow.
So I was George of the Jungle. Watch out for that tree. And stuff like that. Enhancements of the photo library and things. Nothing really groundbreaking that I could see. They didn't want to really spend a
Yeah.
lot of time on a lot of features. They just kind of gave you a 30,000 feet view on
It
iOS
almost seemed
18.
that way.
Yeah. Maybe when the
Now, what
betas
is
come
this
out.
about? Require Face ID for photos.
Yeah, so the whole thing is this, is that they want to protect your data. So all this
Okay.
stuff, okay, all this stuff is stored on your phone. Okay. And um, so only you can see the data. So for example, you've got pictures of your girlfriend that you don't want your wife to see. Well, you can only, or pictures of your wife you don't want your girlfriend to see either way, And you can,
This would come in handy for Trump.
yeah, it'd come in handy. Yeah. Yeah, it'd come in handy. And so
So basically,
I
what
don't
you're
know it.
saying is that unless the phone recognizes your face, you're not going to be able to see the photos.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. All your data's, a lot of the companies are using the cloud to store stuff on, you know.
Right.
Well, Apple is, their big deal is that, we've got the neural engine and we've got the silicon chip and things like that, and we can all do it on your phone.
Right.
So your privacy is very important to us.
Yeah, it says now they've you can organize your entire library. You can create collections that organize your pictures by recent dates, trips, people and pets.
Yeah, you kind of do that now with photo albums, but this is supposed to do the work for you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Messages about the same stuff going on with me, the emojis and things like that. You know, uh, there again, they're using, enhanced Siri or, in order to, you can do that to do your messaging and stuff.
Now, the biggest news about messaging is that Apple is finally going to adopt RCS.
Yeah.
They
You
were
know, they,
forced to do that in Europe,
well,
but
they
everybody
didn't
else
actually,
uses
yeah,
RCS.
they didn't mention it today, or unless I missed
Yeah,
it.
apparently, well, they weren't going to, I don't think.
Well, there's a lawsuit going on right now. The feds are after Apple because of that. Okay.
Right, because of the blue
They
bubbles.
the blue bubbles. Yeah. And
Right,
you
where
you
you
would
can't
think,
interchange
yeah,
messages easily
yeah.
with
Now you
Android.
would think our DOJ department would have a little bit more important things to do than worry about blue bubbles, but it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah, it
it took
says
them
right here,
3 years.
Doug, it says
Yeah.
rich communication services. So
it took the
you'll
deal.
be able to read media and delivery
Yeah.
and receipts for those that don't use iMessage, aka Android.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, DOJ, they're right on it. They only took them 3 years to admit Hunter's laptop.
Well, who knows what they're going to be doing next year? Coming
Or
after
crack
Hillary.
deal. Yeah, I think that ship sailed though. I don't know. You never know.
Right.
Safari didn't really say much about Safari. There's some new stuff, but you know, not really. He talked about keychain a little bit, passwords. Um,
Talk to us about Keychain or the upgrade to Keychain.
um, it's just works across all the Apple devices and stuff. And
Right.
I think you can just go one password on everything. I've not had much luck with Keychain. There's some websites out there that offer it, but I don't see any mass acceptance of it. It's been a year. Keychain came out last year.
Right.
But all your passwords in one place, that kind of stuff. And there's all kinds of password managers out there that's out there
Right. I
anyway.
use Bitwarden.
Okay, I use 1Password. Used it for years.
Okay.
So have you heard of the word Sherlocking?
No.
Okay, the word Sherlocking is an old term. For example, 30 years ago, there was a developer that had a Sherlock app, and it would search everything on your Mac, the old Macs. Okay, so eventually Apple stole that or adopted it, and they came out with a Finder window. And of course, so the guy that did Sherlock, of course, he went out of business. So
Wow.
there's a lot of this. The word I got out of this, there was a lot of Sherlocking in this presentation that third
Okay.
parties have already done, but
Right.
they picked it up.
Apparently, there's
It's one.
upgrades to maps.
Yeah, they talked about that a little bit, not much. They just said, um, Apple Maps are okay. We use them all the time. Not so great on bike trails, though.
Okay.
Okay. For example, the trails down here they're not on there. Okay.
They're not?
No, no. And even the Mission Trail up in San Antonio, it leaves much to be desired. And you would think that's a very popular bike trail. The Mission Ride, they take the 7 missions, you go through them. And
Yeah.
ours was up there 2 weeks ago, and we always get lost.
Yeah, I saw some videos, some pictures.
Yeah. Oh, you heard Diva cussing me out. Where's that man at? Now, what's he doing? That's the latest one that she put up on Saturday.
Yeah.
Listen to her. He's pretty funny. What you doing? What was he going out there for? Talked about games.
Oh, and
I mean, it's
yeah.
it's the usual game stuff. They had the guy from Assassin's Creed. He was out there saying, well,
Right.
now there's we got all that. We could do this and we could do that.
And what updates did they do to Wallet?
Wallets are going to be available. Wallets going to be available on third-party websites and stuff like that.
Okay.
You can tap your phone. So, for example, we're in the same room, and I need to give you $20. I could just take my phone and tap it, and you can accept it.
Now, what's going on here? Apple's getting into the for-pay business too, or what?
Well, they've been in
They
it
want to
for
do like an
several years.
Affirm?
Oh, yeah. They've been at it for several years. Yeah.
That's big
As a matter of
business, you
fact,
know?
as a matter of fact, I just paid my iPhone off on it.
Yeah.
Just paid it off. AirPods, the isolation deal is interesting. One of the problems we have on the bike is that, it's really windy down here, right? Okay.
Right.
And so I can listen to podcasts and music and baseball games just fine, even with the wind blowing. But if I'm talking to somebody on the phone and it's real windy, they can't hear me. It's just too much wind noise. Now, this isolation is supposed to take care of that problem.
Now, this is for the AirPods.
That's for the AirPods. Yeah. It's really needed because, I mean, there's lots of times that, I'm talking and go, let me turn my airphone. Let me get off. The wind's too much.
Right.
I'll be talking to Diva or Taylor or somebody, and Daddy, I can't hear you. There's too much wind noise. Okay. And this is supposed to take care of it.
And then notes.
Notes, more enhancements and notes. Notes started out a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, kind of, you know, it left much to be desired, but now it's like the number one deal that kids use to take notes, and everybody. They've worked on it, and worked on it and worked on it and worked on it. You can do a lot of things on notes. I use notes all the time. I think it's one of the better things. It came out, back in the day, Evernote was a big one.
Oh yeah.
And you remember Evernote, and there was some
Mm-hmm.
other note apps. Well, those have been
Yeah, there was
almost
OneNote
completely
on the Windows
OneNote.
side. Yeah.
Yeah, and that has been pretty much wiped out with notes on the iPhone, and they're pretty good. You can do just about anything with them.
Yeah.
Journal is a new,
And they
that launched last. It launched in January, I think it was, and it's starting out slow. It's just a journal. That's another Sherlock deal they took from day one. Day one is a journal app that I use is pretty good, and they Sherlock that. And Apple TV app. Oh, they made some changes to the Apple TV app. They gave Apple TV some love. It needs some love. Um,
yeah.
yeah, it works pretty good, but I mean, they could do so much. I'm to this day, I'm surprised that there was no Apple Store on the Apple TV.
Right.
Now, I would think that would be the first thing they would put on there,
Well,
but
maybe
there
because
is no app.
it's limited in storage. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's just a browser type deal. There's no browser on Apple TV either.
Right. So
But
you
you think
can't
they could
surf
have
the
came out?
web.
Yeah, you think they could have came out with an app or something that's on Apple TV that if you want to buy a Mac, you want to find out how much it is or something like that. Well, then you know.
Are we going to be able to
But
view our PUB bill? According to this, it says view home electricity use.
you do that now. I just got mine. That's on
Well,
an
I know
email.
that.
Oh, that's probably on the home app. They have a
Yeah.
thing, electrical grid on there now. I haven't been able to
Yeah.
I don't understand how to read it, but
Let's see here. Well, let's jump into
they
Mac
get into
OS
SharePlay yet?
Sequoia. Huh?
Did they? Okay,
SharePlay?
Sequoia. Yeah, another feature. Yeah, SharePlay. Right now, there's SharePlay. Is it? Let's say, for example, you're watching something on Apple TV, and I want my daughter to watch it. We can watch it together in Minnesota. Um, there's some improvements on that. One of the problems there is the latency. Um,
Okay.
the echo. We tried watching a show the other day, and the echo back and forth. We may
Right.
not have been doing it right, but as Steve Jobs would say, you're not holding the phone right. And you can do that on any Mac now, and it's going to be wireless.
Right.
It's going to, yeah, sort of
And of
like a
course,
VPN or
Mac OS
yeah,
Sequoia is coming out.
yeah, Sequoia. It's probably isn't some inside features.
Right.
They probably done some stuff, and
Yeah,
inside
it
they
says it's
didn't
going to
really
incorporate uh, Apple Intelligence so
right.
that you can write, summarize, create
Yeah,
images, craft emojis. Continuity, there you go. Look at that.
continuity. You can can go from your iPhone to your Mac, vice versa, or go to Vision OS or to your iPad or whatever. Works pretty, continuity's been around for a while, you know.
Hmm.
Of course, so you can use your phone, you can use your iPhone for your camera for your net meetings, for your FaceTime calls too. Okay.
Right.
That works. Actually, the picture is much better. However, you got to always worry about the phone going dead because you use a lot more
Oh,
juice, right?
because of the battery.
Yeah. That's the reason why we're
That's where you
not
got to
using it
keep it
tonight.
plugged in.
Yeah, that's the reason why we're not using it tonight.
Oh, look at this. Seamless drag and drop. You can move files and photos and videos between your iPhone and your Mac by
Yeah.
dragging and dropping.
Yeah, they also showed, virtually you can bring your iPhone up on a Mac. So, for example, if you want to show somebody how to do something on their phone, well, you got your phone there, and then what you can do, you can superimpose that on the Mac and then share play that. What do they call that? There's a word for that.
Screen share?
Uh, yeah. What do they do when they have, like some people like Omax, I forget what the word is, but they do it
Same
virtually on
thing.
there.
Password
Password
apps.
apps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to get that gaming on there. It's, that's always a big deal
Right.
with
I
it.
see that.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed,
Yeah. For a long, long
Warcraft.
time, as you well know, Max took a hit, said that, they wasn't fast enough to run games. And that's not the case now since they came out with silicon chips and stuff, the neural
Oh, look.
engine.
Pal World. That's Elon's favorite game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Messages, maps.
Yeah, Maps has been on. I use Maps all the time on the Mac, but it's
They're going to
enhance
incorporate
it.
notes.
Yeah,
Same thing with the AirPods.
same thing.
Now, I don't know. They talked a lot about the calculator. I don't know what the big deal about the
Well, they put it on
calculator
the
is.
iPad. They finally got around
Okay.
putting a calculator on the iPad. And if you scroll down, when you get into the iPad, are you in the iPad? You're not in the iPad software yet, are you?
I'm in an iPad now.
No, I'm talking about on their screen, on the website, on the Apple website. If you scroll
Yeah,
down.
I'm on there.
Okay, but have they started talking about Apple iPad OS?
Not yet. I'm getting to that.
Okay, well, that'll tell you about the calculator. All these
All
years,
right.
15 years of it, the iPad's been out. It never had a calculator.
Really?
Okay, right. So they've kind of done some neat stuff with that calculator app. So, for example, if you want to show that if you want to go down to the iPad OS, that was kind of
Yeah, let me
interesting.
get to the iPad OS preview here.
A simple little iPad calculator. They spent some time on
There we
that.
go.
There
Oh
you
my
go. So
gosh.
for an example, you can write your equations on there. Okay. So you can just and say you got an iPad pen, you got a pencil, right?
Right.
Okay. And then you got a blackboard there, and for example, 2 + 2, and then just say equal, and it calculates the math for you. And then you can put formulas on there. It does graphs for you. Does all kinds of crazy stuff.
So much
Definitely an
for your
enhancement.
TI calculator.
Yeah, it's much better calculator. You know, it's a much better calculator than anything. Now it's going to be interesting. There's a calculator. There's a third party calculator. That guy named James Thompson that sells. It's called PCal. Okay, I've got it
Yeah.
on my devices, and it's kind of like the go-to app for Apple. Okay. Now, there's an API for this. It's going to be interesting to see how James Thompson incorporates his PCal app with this calculator app.
Wow.
He's pretty good, but
That
I mean,
is
I've
neat.
seen podcasts with him. And he said he's limited what he can do.
Yeah.
Okay, but now since they've done all this stuff, and there's APIs for all of this stuff. But the calculator app on
Wow.
iPad is very interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah,
Especially where you can write your formulas and then you
yeah.
get the
And if
graphic
you go
output.
over and inside the app, if you go over to the left-hand side, there's a pull out, okay? And you can put your household budget and all that kind of stuff on there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we
So
still have we still have three operating systems though. I thought eventually
you
everything
got
was
more
going to be
than
combined
that.
into one.
No, you got more than that. You got Mac, you got iPad OS, you got iOS, you got Watch OS, and then you got Vision OS.
So you don't think everything will be combined into one?
I think not right now, I don't think. Mac and OS is pretty close, but it's going to be kind of hard to do, Vision OS, I think, and Watch OS.
Yeah.
Well, Vision OS especially. But, you know, Freeform, there again, more improvements that launched last year. It's about 2 years old now. It's that one was Sherlock. There's a company called I'm trying to think what it is. But they do the kind of the same thing. They make flow charts and things like that. And
Yeah.
that was Sherlock when Freeform came out.
Well, I tell you what,
And
it makes me want to go get a new iPad now.
yeah, a new pencil.
I know. I mean,
The thing
really.
about iPads, really, I looked at the prices of an iPad, and the iPad Pro is, it's pretty expensive. Okay.
Yeah. I
But
know.
you can get the same thing on an iPad Air Pro, okay, for like $300, $400 less. The only trouble is the iPad Pro has that screen on there.
Yeah.
It has that double screen on there, and the iPad Airs, I believe, don't. Okay, so you're paying the extra money for the screen, but who really cares? You know?
Now it says here that the iPad Pro 11-inch first generation or later. I'm pretty sure that the iPad Pro that I have is first generation,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been behind. I'm still running 16.
Yeah, would they let you update it?
I thought they wouldn't, but look at what it says. It says 11-inch
Yeah,
iPad Pro, first
yeah.
generation. That has
I
to be a
think
typo.
I don't know. I mean, iPads, they're known for having long lives. They last forever.
Yeah.
Then you got Watch
What's new in
OS.
Watch OS?
I thought they would announce something like blood pressure check or something like that.
Yeah.
Not really. Unless they're going to announce it with the new watch that comes out in September. Okay.
Okay.
Just some software enhancements. You know, it gives you a history of, for example, I ride my bike, say 20, 25 miles a day. Okay. And it tells how, in a week's time, it'll tell you how much performance you've done, if you're up to your goals and all that kind of stuff. And if you're, what seems to be wrong, the reason why you're not meeting your goals.
It says move, exercise, and stand rings show your daily activity, and the goal is to close them every day.
Yeah. Which I try. It's hard to do though.
It says
You know,
add, move, or remove metrics.
yeah.
Vitals.
I'm yeah, I'm very happy with the Watch OS software on the watch, and I use it with my bike all the time. Every day I look
Right.
at it. I set it, and it tells me how fast I'm going, how far I've gone, how many calories I burn, where I've been, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
Oh, yeah. Look, training load.
your training load,
Training
yeah,
load helps you see how the intensity of your workouts may impact your body over time.
right. I suspect in September when they come out with the new watches, they're supposed to have a completely revamped watch in September because it's been
All
10
right.
years, right? Hard to believe the watch has been around 10 years.
Yeah, right. It's been a long time
Yeah.
already.
Cycle tracking, you and I don't have to worry about that. But for example, my daughter Taylor, when she was pregnant, it'll tell you, if you're, how much you're eating, what your appetite was in a certain day, stuff like that.
Well, not yet, Doug, but they're working on it.
They're
They
working on it.
want men to have babies,
They want, yeah. There's no
you
reason
know.
why, right?
Well, I don't know if I'd want to
Kind
do
of hard
that.
to do. Kind of hard to do.
Uh, yeah,
Widgets, more and more widgets. I,
right.
you know, widgets have been out for a year or so. I've never used them on the watch.
See
Workouts,
distance and route maps.
yeah. More enhancements.
Translate. Look at
Trans,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah. No hablo español.
Double tap.
Double tap. That's on the newer watches. The example they show is a mother, in a rocking chair, putting her baby to sleep, and she doesn't want to, wake the baby up, so she uses, a double tap to do what she
Cool.
wants to do. Health records. Yeah, I use health records. I got a lot of, my health records are on the Apple Watch. Trouble is that down here in the valley, these doctors down here, they go, what's a watch? Is that something you wind up or something, And they don't participate in those health studies. But my guy in San Antonio, I mean, he downloads all the data on there. In Valley
Well, you know what they
Baptist has
say.
got,
The United States
what's it?
starts north of Corpus Christi.
Well, I always say it was north of Cerritos, okay? Before the days of the Mexican-American War, that was the U.S. boundary of Cerritos.
Yeah.
But you know how Americans are. We wasn't satisfied with that, so we had to
Take it all
come
the way to
down
the
and
river.
come down from the river to the sea.
And lastly, Vision OS. What's new
Yeah, they
there?
show actually the presentation, they showed that first. They went through that. You know, when they came out with it in January, it's only been out since January. And
Right,
you know, it's got some bugs in it. It's got some issues with it, but for the most, but it's good that Apple is working on it still.
yeah,
Okay, you know, sometimes they come up with something and it dies. You know, it doesn't catch on right
right,
away and it just dies. But you know, Apple still they've made some improvements, and you know, probably you and I will probably never be able to afford a Vision OS, a Vision, you know, but you know, I listen to podcasters and, you know, they've got them and, you know, they use them a couple times a week, 2 or 3 times a week. Um,
yeah,
I know my podcaster, Jason Snell, he watches baseball all the time and he tries watching baseball with the MLB app with the Vision Quest and, oh, you're in a stadium, you know, and he said it could be better. So
yeah.
he's always wanting them to update it.
Use AirPlay to
AirPlay.
mirror Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the whole thing, you know, is that of course so they preach security till you're just tired of it. Your personal your data, you know, that's your own data. You know, they brainwashed you on that back and forth, you know, the whole thing. But you know, your data, that's yours, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But what they've done in their presentation, the keynote they did today, they just gave everybody a quick overview because there's a lot of stuff they could have got into, but it would have went on for God hours, you know. But this is
Right.
pretty fast, pretty fast. Now the
Yeah.
developers, you know, right after this keynote, there's a thing called State of the Union, and then they really get into and that's the developers are invited to that, and they get into the nuts and bolts and things like that. And then of course, so tomorrow they'll go into there are certain sessions, you know, with everybody. They'll
Right.
have Apple engineers here. They'll answer your questions and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, they want to get the developers to, especially to put you know, they've written APIs for all this stuff and they want developers to use you know, the Apple intelligence. They're not calling it AI. They're just calling it Apple intelligence. I don't think I heard the
I know
word
that was
AI
kind of
once.
smart.
Yeah. I don't think I heard the word AI once or AR.
Yeah. No, of course not.
Yeah.
They got to be special,
So what they've
you know.
done, Danny, is they've all these different software, okay, they've merged them all together. And you know, each software is kind of peculiar in its own certain way, but they actually kind of do all the same thing. And they all work
Right.
together, you know, the which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
All
that's what
righty,
Apple's
Doug.
been
Well,
known
it
for.
was quite interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see what the rest of the next couple of months brings. Obviously, the most exciting part will be what gets released in September.
Yeah. So how the timetable works is that this week the developers will be working with the Apple engineers, and it's not in the Steve Jobs Theater, nor did they rent out a fancy hotel in San Francisco. Okay, this is all done online now, and so what they do is that you know they'll work on that, and I think some of the software will be available tonight to developers.
Ah,
Okay, and they're
okay.
probably busy. They're probably back in the hotel room right now, downloading the software. At least the first
Yeah.
versions of it, anyway. You know, the betas. Okay, and then the public beta will probably come out in July or so.
Right.
So, and then iOS comes out just about a week before the iPhones come out, and that's September 16th. Okay, usually around September 16th, and then Mac software comes out in September 16th. Okay, usually around September 16th. And then usually in October.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, who knows about Vision Pro? Yeah, they may release it around the iPhone time.
Right.
But the Watch OS will be released about the same time as the iOS and the iPad OS. And there'll be some
Yeah.
features like this Apple Intelligence. Like I said, it's in beta, and I don't think they just said release this year. It may be next year before we see. It may be in beta for a year, as far as we know.
Right.
But I think what's good thing about it is that Apple finally, I think they've known this for a long time, but they finally admitted to the world that Siri ain't what she should be, okay?
Right.
And so they're trying to do something to improve it. And
Yeah.
they think they have. So we'll see
All
what happens.
right. Well, all righty. Well, it was a very good evening. We went through all the releases of the different OSs. We've got September coming up, so we'll have to look forward to that. And let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Just about
Alrighty,
election
Doug. Well, it looks like we made it through Studio B.
Studio B. God.
Yep.
I had my doubts last night. I go, oh, God, I hope she went. Diva says, are you on again tonight? And I go, yeah. Is she, are you going to use that Studio B? And I go, probably. And I said,
okay. Well, there's a lot riding on Studio B. So, but definitely what may kill it is the hot weather.
the hot weather might just do it.
That's right.
It didn't get so hot today. It's only 95.
No. But, all righty, everybody.
Okay,
well, that
Danny,
was it for today.
Give me a
Thank
promo
you for watching.
E-Bike Trek. Give me a promo on E-Bike Trek. We have a channel called E-Bike Trek on YouTube. We just posted our San Antonio trip. I think she did it Saturday night. And it's about maybe 10, 15 minutes long. And it's kind of funny. And so we rode the Mission Trail. We started out at San Jose Mission, and our goal was to get to the Alamo. And we got up to the Alamo Street, but it was pretty much blocked off, and you're not allowed to ride a bike in the Alamo anymore. So,
oh wow,
yeah. And so, but we, and then, we had a good time. It was a good ride. And then in August we go to Minnesota. In August we go to Minnesota. We're taking the bikes with us up to Minnesota. And my son-in-law, Chris, has an electric bike now, too. And his buddy, Hector, has 3 electric bikes. Okay, so we should have a good time. And they have a lot of bike trails in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minneapolis.
And it's a lot cooler.
Lot cooler. And the wind
I know
you so bad
you could never miss South Texas weather.
No, we're kind of really, we're lucky to be Winter Texans, I think. This last couple of years down there has been really kind of too hot,
Yeah.
And we haven't really had a spring. It gets hot in first week in May and stays hot till the first week in December. Okay. Or at least first week in November. And then, the wind down here is just, just terrible.
Yeah.
Again, it's hard to get
a good
workout on your bike because you got to throttle so much,
Yeah. All righty.
Okay, Dan.
Well, that's it for today.
Go Redbirds. We're doing pretty good here lately. The last month or so, we're winning.
Yeah.
We're not winning all the games, but we're getting there. And
Yeah.
maybe we can pick it up on a next on the podcast.
That's what we'll do. Now that
Oh,
Studio B is behaving.
well, I wouldn't say we'll just cross our fingers, okay?
All right. All right.
Okay.
Doug,
See you later.
you have a good
Good night,
evening.
everybody. Good night.
Good night. All righty, Doug. Think we made it.
I think we made it. I'm just trying to quit now.
Yeah, it's trying to quit.